Darren and I are very fortunate because of the fact that we do our television show and radio show. We get to talk to some of the head people in these different seed companies and crop protection companies and travel around the world visiting with them and finding out, hey, what's coming new? How do you feel about this? Everything else. And I just want to give you a little bit of insight to Dow's Enlist trait. Yes, this Enlist trait, you probably have heard of it. Everybody refers to it as the 2,4-D trait, and then they talk about Monsanto's Extend trait as the dicamba trait, all right? But when we talk about the weed control product that you're going to use, everybody says, well, 2,4-D, I'm familiar with that. No, you're not with this 2,4-D. It's different. And anyway, when we go back and talk to the Dow people and say, well, tell us about your Enlist trait and how do you feel about that? They have just told us, look, we feel so confident that this new 2,4-D, we've basically eliminated the vapor problem, we've reduced the drift problem. If people use this right, our solution is so much better than anything else. People are going to demand that Enlist trait on their farm. You know, I just find that kind of interesting, Darren, because we look at these as, hey, the dicamba trait's a good option, the Enlist trait's a good option, we have Liberty, we have Roundup, we got a lot of options out there, and Dow is just dead set on our options so superior on the chemistry side that people are going to flock to our trait.
Well, I certainly have a number of good things going. For example, they've stacked other herbicide technology into the Enlist trait. So it's not just resistance to this 2,4-D or this brand new 2,4-D form they've got. For example, in the Enlist soybeans, they've got Roundup resistance and Liberty resistance in addition to this new 2,4-D resistance. Now we've got 3 different herbicides that normally would kill the beans, but now they're going to be safe on the beans and deadly on the weeds. I really like that they're using a lot more than just one thing, because if we were just using the 2,4-D product, we'd be worried about resistance almost right away.
Look at the corn side. We may have an inexpensive grass control option too. You might not even need the Roundup side because they're going to have FOP tolerance. In other words, tolerance to Assure, to Fusilade, those types of products. So it's something to talk to your seed provider about, because the corn's going to be out there on a limited scale in 2016. Cotton as well is going to be out there. So we're just excited to see the chemistry get labeled and the label come in soybeans, hopefully at some point in 2016. So in 2017, we've got this as a viable option.
Well, the big fear that I hear from farmers is, what about the genetics? Okay, the trait, we'll give you that. That trait looks really fantastic, but what about the genetics that are behind it? They must be just terrible because they aren't DuPont and they aren't Monsanto right away. This is Dow that's starting this off. Hey, Dow is a trait licensing company. They're licensing this trait out to these other companies to put genetics in. So you should have availability of a wide variety of genetics out there. I'm not tremendously concerned about this. I think they're going to be very competitive. You look on the soybean side and they're working with Stein on the breeding program. On the cotton side, of course, Dow is big in cotton. No worries there at all. And on the corn side too, they're offering that trait out to all the genetic partners. So they're able to get breeding from a number of different sources. It's just that no matter what the trait is, you're going to have to find the right genetics for your farm. And there are going to be some differences out there, just like there are just with a straight Roundup Ready trait. There's differences in genetics. So you find the hybrids or the varieties that work for you, and then you've got a good trait package to go as well.
The other thing we want to stress today is, even though you may have a great 2,4-D type option post-emerge, use pre-emerge herbicides. They're really going to help your weed control program. Well, when it comes to weed control, you want to make sure you're controlling our weed of the week as well. We'll tell you how to do it on your farm coming up next.